Good morning, class. Good morning, class. I'm Mr. Ibrahim. I'll be the one taking you anatomy and physiology. Welcome to first semester on the level class. And I want to use your medium to welcome you and congratulate you on your admission to this institution. And I know very well this will be the first time someone will be hearing about anatomy and physiology. So we are going to discuss the anatomy and physiology. But let us first start with the introduction. Anatomy and physiology, they are studies we do that will familiarize you with the structures and functions of the human body. But which one is structures? Which one is study functions? As we move on, we understand the difference between the two. But most of the terms used in anatomy and physiology, they came from the Greek words, because the Greek were the first set of people to study this subject about 2000 years ago. So learning the roots of this word will help you to understand some of the scientific terms without having to look them up. But before we go, I want to also do a little recap on what we did in secondary school. That is a living thing. We all know that all living things perform the same basic functions. Though they gave us metallurgy then when we were in our secondary school, where they say M stand for movement, R for respiration, M for nutrition, I for irritability, G for growth, E for excretion, R for reproduction, and D for death. But this time around, no living thing is going to die in this anatomy. We are going to discuss them according to the one that is alive. But all these miscellaneous I was going to us are now going to be summarized into the following basic functions. One, all living things, they respond to stimuli, that is responsiveness. That is why they respond to changes in the environment, and this is called irritability. Second basic function is growth. All organism has the ability to grow larger, to increase in size through an increase in their size or number of their cells. And also, we have reproduction. All organisms must reproduce to pass on their genetic information that is from the parent to their offsprings. And the fourth one is the movement. That is, which means there is a capability for all the organism to move in their environment or within their home body. What are those things that move within this body of organism? Those are their food, blood, and other materials. And they also move all their bodies within their own personal environment, external environment. And number 5 is the metabolism, in which organisms rely on complex chemical reaction to provide energy for responsiveness, in which any food that is being eaten or any activities that took place in the organism are being acted upon by a chemical reaction, in which either break it down or build it up to form an energy that gives the cells or organisms the ability to respond to external stimulus. But before we study the anatomy and physiology, what is biology? Biology is the study of life. Anatomy and physiology is the study of the human body anatomy and how it works. What is now the science of anatomy and physiology? What is anatomy? Anatomy is the study of internal and external structures and the physical relationship between both parts. While physiology is the study of how living organisms perform their vital functions. Looking at these two definitions, we see that anatomy is one that is dealing with the study of structures, while physiology is one that is dealing with the study of functions, which means both of them, they are interrelated. When one is studying the structures, physiology is studying the functions of that particular structures. This is why an example is when you want to build a table. The structure of a table you need will depend on the function you want it to perform. You need a center table. The structure will be different from a dining table, because dining table function is different from the function the center table will perform. That is why structures of a structure has to perform its own functions. So that's why we have different structures with also different functions. Anatomy. After we have discussed what anatomy is, Let us look at the study of anatomy and how it can be divided. Because when we are talking of structures, we know there are some structures that can be seen with our naked eyes. Those are the larger structures. And there are some structures that are very minute. We can't see them. How are they going to be studied? That is why anatomy is divided into two major fields, which is gross anatomy or macroscopic anatomy. Also, we have microscopic anatomy. First one, which is the gross anatomy or microscopic anatomy, is the study of large visible structures. Those are the structures that are very large and can be seen with our naked eyes. Those are the ones that is studied under gross or macroscopic anatomy. And this gross anatomy can be studied under three main approaches, which are regional anatomy, systemic anatomy, and clinical anatomy. While the structures that are very small, that cannot be easily seen with our naked eye, only with the aid of microscope, is called microscopic anatomy. And those structures are the cells and the molecules. But in gross, all organs in the body are what we study under the gross anatomy. Next on this slide is subdivision of gross anatomy. Gross anatomy can be subdivided into the following: 1. Regional anatomy, surface anatomy, systemic anatomy, developmental anatomy, and clinical anatomy. The first one is regional anatomy. Regional anatomy, also known as topographical anatomy, is the one that consider how body are being organized into major parts or segments, which are the segments that when viewing a human, it can help us to know that these are the parts that can be detached from each other. Some of the segments in the body are divided into the following parts. We have the main body that consists of the neck, head, the neck, and the trunk. The trunk now subdivided into the thorax that this arrow is pointing to. You have the next one, which is the abdomen. We have the back and the pelvis and the perineum. And the one that now join with the main body is now the upper limb and the lower limbs, which they are paired structures. Other part of anatomy is the surface anatomy, which is an essential part of the study of regional anatomy that gives us an ability to know what lies under the skin and what structures are perceptible to touch. They can easily be palpable in the living body at first and in action. While the physical examination is a clinical application of that surface anatomy, in knowing the location and also how to feel some of the organs that are found below the skin. And there are some keywords that I mentioned: palpable, which is palpation. It's a clinical technique used with observation and listening for examining the body. Example is when you are checking for the pulses in the body. When you want to check your pulse, or when you want to check for your pulse in determining your blood pressure, you use palpation. This is an example or a type of a physical examination. The second division of anatomy is the systemic anatomy, which describes a group of organs that function together for a single purpose. What are these group of organs? You know, we have different organs in the body. We have the heart, the stomach, the liver, the lungs, etc. All these organs are the ones that are grouped together to form a system that are going to be studied. And this systemic anatomy is the one that we are going to be focusing majorly in this class. And if you didn't forget, we have different type of system in the body. All those systems that we have in the body are the ones that are going to be studied. That's systemic anatomy. In order to remind us, we have some of the anatomy systems that we have in the body are: 1. Nervous system, endocrine system, respiratory system, reproductive system, lymphatic system, cardiovascular system, skeletal system, digestive, urinary system. Each of these systems I've mentioned, they have their group of organs that come together to make this system. Other division is the developmental anatomy that describes the structural changes in an organism from fertilizing and maturity. And this one is the one that is studied under embryology. That is one that shows us how what happened, especially in woman when the egg is fertilized to when a baby is born. It's in 9 month stages, but there are some structural changes that take place between that period, and this one is studied under developmental anatomy or embryology. And the last division is the clinical anatomy that describe the various medical specialties. And this can be divided into two. You have the medical anatomy and radiographic anatomy. Medical anatomy is one that studies the changes that occur during illness, and radiographic anatomy is one that uses the medical imaging techniques to examine the uh, problem that has affected the organs in the body. The second division of anatomy is the microscopic. The one we discussed earlier is the gross anatomy or macroscopic. But under microscopy, as I said earlier, they are the structure that cannot be seen with our naked eyes. And this group of structures, which are cells and molecules, they are the one that are studied under microscopic anatomy. And they also divided into two parts. We have the cytology and histology. Cytology is the one that studies the cells and their structures, while the histology is one that studies the tissues and their structures. We can be looking at that word. Cyto means cell, logy means study. That is why we are come across the word study of cells. But histology, histo means tissues, and logy means studies. We've discussed the division of anatomy. Let us now move to the division of physiology. Physiology has many specialties also, but the basic four divisions we are going to look at is are cell physiology, that include chemical and molecular processes within and between cells. Special physiology, that is the study of specific organs within, such as the heart. And systemic physiology, as we have discussed earlier in systemic anatomy, this one is one that look at the function of all organs in the system. And this is the system, the part of physiology that we're going to focus on also in physiology. And the third part of physiology is fourth part of physiology is the pathological physiology. That's one that studies the effect of disease on organ and organ system. After we have studied how anatomy and physiology have been divided into their various parts, let us move ahead and study the organ we want to look at, the human structure we are looking at. What is their level of organizations? This one is one that we were taught in our secondary school. Though they taught us we have 4 levels of organization, but I'm letting you know that we have 6 levels of structural complexity in humans. The first one is the chemical level or molecular level, which is the one that comprises of the atoms, elements, molecules. All these ones are the ones that come together to form the second level, which is the cellular level, that made up of all the cells. And cell is what? Is the study, is what? Is the smallest unit of life. And all the chemicals, all the molecules, elements, atoms are the one that come together to form the cellular level. An example of a cell in the body is a red blood cell, a white blood cells, a nerve cell. These are the example of a cell. They are the cells in the body that perform is that serve as the smallest unit of life. But if you move further, all these cells they can't perform their work all alone. So they also come together to form another level of organization called the tissues. That is why a tissue is what? Is a group of 2 or more cells that come together to perform a similar functions. Example of a tissue is an artery. Artery comprises of what? A blood cell, a smooth cell, muscle cells that help them to come together to perform their function. And these tissues also they cannot work alone. They also have to come together to perform another function, and they are coming together will also lead us to the fourth level of organization, which is the organ. That is why organ is what? Is the coming together of 2 or more tissues perform the same functions. And the example of organ are heart, stomach, liver. So some of the organs in the body, example which are heart, liver, skin, They are comprises of many tissues. Also, this organ they also come together to form. So all the organs they come together to form the system. So this example of a system, we have different type of system. We have the circulatory system that comprises of heart, blood vessels. We have the digestive system that comprises of organs that are found in the alimentary canal from the mouth down to the anus. So all the organs in the body they come together to form the system and they perform similar function. And all the system also come together to form the last level, which is called the organism level or the human. That is why I want you to know that each level of organization they depend on the others. This diagram is showing us the different levels of organization that we have. As I said earlier, we have 6 level organization, which is the chemical level, cellular level, tissue level, organ level, systemic level, and the organism level. At the chemical level, this chemical level consists made up of atoms. Atoms are the ones that are combined together to form the molecules, which form the complex protein molecules. And this one is an example of showing us how the cardiovascular system is going to be formed. So we have the atoms in combination that leads to the complex protein molecule, and this complex protein molecule now form the protein filament. This protein filament is the smallest cells or cellulose level that will now join together or come together to form the heart muscle cells. This heart muscle cell is now this at the cellular level, which means the cellular level comprises of the atoms, the molecules, and the protein filament. This heart muscle cell also come together to form the cardiac muscle tissue, which means the group of all the heart muscle cells now come together to form the cardiac muscle tissue, which is now at the tissue level. Also, all the cardiac muscle tissue also come together and they are going to form what we call the organ level, which is the heart. So the heart is formed as a result of coming together of 2 or more cardiac muscle tissue to form the heart, which is the organ level. So the fifth level is the system level, in which the organ now come together to form the system. So this first one is the cardiovascular system, which now comprises of the heart that is coming from the organ level, some of the arteries and vessels that come together to now form the system. And there are also other systems that is seen around that is found can be found around this cardiovascular system, which are the skeletal, muscular, nervous, endocrine, lymphatic, respiratory, digestive, urinary system, and reproductive system. All these systems now come together to form the organism level. After we have discussed the 6 level of organization, we now want to introduce ourselves to all the systems we have in the body. As I've said earlier, the approach we're going to use for this anatomy is the systemic anatomy. The system, these following are the systems that are found in our body, which are the integumentary system, the nervous system, the skeletal system, endocrine system, muscular system, cardiovascular, lymphatic, urinary, respiratory, digestive, and reproductive system. So we are going to list all the organs that make up of each of these systems. First one is the integumentary system that comprises of the major organs, which are the skin, the hair, the sweat gland, and the nails, as we have seen in this diagram. And their function is to protect against environmental hazard, helps regulate body temperature, and provide sensory information. This integrated system will be discussed in details as we move on in this anatomy, and this articular system will be dealt with in actual level anatomy. The next system is the nervous system, which comprises of the brain, spinal cord, peripheral nerves, and the sense organs. And the function of our system is to direct immediate responses to stimuli, also to coordinate or moderate activity of all other organ systems, and also to provide and interpret sensory information about external conditions. Of the skeletal system. Next, we have the skeletal system. which comprises of the major organs, which are the bones, cartilages, associated ligaments, and bone marrow. And the major function of skeletal system is to provide support and protection for other tissues, to store calcium and other minerals, and also to form blood cells. And this is the diagram that shows the skeletons, the bones that we have in the body. And when we get to before the end of our under level class, we'll be able to show us some of the bones we have in the body, where the cartilage attaches to them, and where can bone marrow be found. The next system, is the endocrine system. Endocrine system is one that comprises of all the glands that are endocrine glands in the body. And they are the pituitary gland, which is found the forebrain, the thyroid gland in the neck, we have the pancreas, we have the adrenal gland, the gonads, the endocrine tissue in other system. And this endocrine system, we are going to come across it in our 12 level anatomy. And the function of this system is to direct long-term changes in the activities of other organ system, in which both this nervous and endocrine system, they are the one that work together to maintain internal communications. Other functions of the endocrine system is to adjust metabolic activity and energy used by the body, and also to control many structural and functional changes during development. We also have the muscular system that made up of all the skeletal muscles in the body and the associated tendons and aponeurosis. And also in this another level class, we are going to know that we have more than one type of muscle. Also, apart from skeletal muscle, we have the smooth muscles and the cardiac muscles. But the one that made up of this muscular system are the skeletal muscles. Cardiac muscles can only be found in the cardiovascular system. That was one that made up of the heart. And smooth muscles are the one that are found among the muscles that made up of the internal organs, especially in the digestive system. So the function of muscular system is to provide movement. They also provide protection and support for other tissues, and it generates heat that maintains body temperature. The next system is the cardiovascular system that comprises of three major organs, which are the heart, blood, and blood vessels. And their function is to distribute blood cells, water, and dissolved minerals, which include the nutrients, waste products, oxygen, and carbon dioxide. And they also help to distribute heat and assist in control of body temperature. Also, we have the lymphatic system that comprises of the spleen, thymus, lymphatic vessels, lymph nodes, and tonsils. These are the major organs of the lymphatic system. And the functions of the lymphatic system is to defend against infection and diseases, and also to return tissue fluids to the bloodstream. Also, we have the urinary system, and the major organs that made up of the urinary system are the kidneys, which are paired, ureters, which are paired. You have one urinary bladder and a urethra. And the function of urinary system is to help in excretion of waste product from the blood. It also controls water balance by regulating the volume of urine produced. It also helps to store urine prior to voluntary elimination, and also help to regulate blood ion concentration and pH. We also have the respiratory system, and the major organs are the nasal cavities, the sinuses, the larynx, the trachea, the bronchi, lungs, and the alveoli. And the function of the respiratory system is to deliver air to alveoli, also to provide oxygen to the bloodstream and removal of carbon dioxide from the bloodstream, and they also produce sound for communication. And also we have the digestive system, and major organs are the teeth, the tongue, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. And the major function of the digestive system is to process and digest our food, absorb and conserve water, absorption of nutrients, and also storage of energy, storage for energy reserves. And we have the reproductive system, which are categorized into two. We have the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. In the male reproductive system, the major organs are the testes, epididymis, ductus deferens, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, penis, and scrotum, and the functions in production of sperm and hormones. The female reproductive system comprised of the following organs, which are the ovaries, uterine tube, uterus, vagina, labia, clitoris, mammary glands, and their function is to produce female sex cells, which are the oocytes and hormones, and they support developing embryo from conception to delivery, and they also provide milk to nourish newborn. Thank you for listening. As you await the other lecture videos, I want you to try and listen to this video very well, and also note all the organs that make up each of the system that we have mentioned, because our approach to this anatomy will be dealing on will be basically on the systemic anatomy. So all the systems that I've listed so far are the system we're going to discuss, and the organs that make up the system are what we are going to base our anatomy on. Thank you. So we are waiting the second lecture video on introduction to anatomy and physiology. And I'll be talking on some other introductory things we need to know before we start the course in detail. So the second video lecture will be talking on the some little aspect of the homeostasis, body cavities, anatomical terms that we need to be familiarized with, that we need to familiarize ourselves with before we go in details to what anatomy is and physiology. Thank you once again. Have a good day.